What's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be tackling one of the most challenging aspects of Rust Console Edition, mastering the AK-47's recoil in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned player or freshborn, these are tips and tricks from a 8 to 10,000 hour player who's led a clan from literally nothing to being one of the most known clans on the game, as well as making content and making multiple tutorials on how to control the AK recoil for a legit controller. And these will hopefully give you the upper hand in those high stake fights. Let's dive in. First things first, the AK-47 in Rust Console has a very unique recoil pattern, and as of 2025 the pattern still follows the upward and side to side curve, but is slightly less predictable than in earlier versions. And here's a quick breakdown. And before we dive into these quick breakdowns, one thing you have to know is that the recoil, in my opinion, is a little bit harder to control because of the update that happened within 2024 regarding the kind of FOV of the weapon itself. In 2022 you had this AK-47 and you had that view of the hollow, and recoil was like at its peak in terms of controlling and how it looked mechanically. It kind of worked similar to what Rust did on Rust PC when it was at its peak with recoil and the competitive play within that. However, moving forward to 2024, they had changed that, making the weapon more zoomed in and making the weapon look more shit, may I add. But let's look at the spray that Rust Console has for 2025, and I do believe that the 2025 recoil will be changed to the PC one, but for now we still have the OG recoil. So let's look at the initial shots. Pull sharply upward, and then the mid section weaves left to right, and the final shots stabilize slightly but still kick up. Now, whilst I'm going to be showing some examples of my AK recoil and the settings I have, which I've made prior to this video, you don't have to go for them, or you can adjust them as you see fit, but I haven't played the game in quite a long time, so this isn't the best in terms of my recoil controllability. However, in the past you can check out my videos and you'll see better clips, and also I'll leave some clips within this video as well, or whilst I'm talking. But the most important factor before we really deep dive into this is that you should really perfect your first 6 to even 15 bullets. You don't need to dump a whole mag in a fight. If you use and move well, you can really end your opponent within 6 to 15 bullets. That is the recoil you really have to look at instead of the whole 30. But before we kind of really deep dive into the spray itself, before you start practicing, make sure your settings are dialed in, and here are some optimal settings for the recoil control. So you obviously have horizontal and vertical sensitivity, and then you have the field of view. Now if we look at the field of view spray at 60, it's considerably more harder than it is at 90. The sweet spot I've said is between 80 and 90 if you want to PvP. Again, these settings are really up to you to understand and change how you see fit. Now that your settings are good to go, it's time to practice. I've got 3 targets here, and I'm using the flame turret because they make the same similar sound if you were to hit a player in game. And I've got these at 3 different distances. Again, don't judge the recoil that I have for this. However, this is something you should really do. If you own a server, set one up really quickly, or you can dive into multiple PvP aim training practice servers. You can do this on community, or you can go pretty much by yourself on PTB. There's a lot of 0 out of 30 servers that you can play on, and I would really do this a lot before you even start playing on officials or community servers. Go into these PvP practice servers and practice it to warm up, or just practice for practice sake. Here I'm going to show you a couple shots of me with iron sight. I'm most efficient with, I would say, 4 times and the hollow. Iron sight I absolutely hate on the AK, but here I have iron sight, hollow, and 4 times for you to look at. Now let's reflect back to the spray itself. The 3 sprays that I had on screen previously was that of crouching, standing up, and when you've got it on 60 FOV. Now this is a common myth that sitting down for an AK spray specifically makes it easier. It doesn't. Most people either crouch because they obviously have a habit of crouching, or if they're on mouse and keyboard because they've come from PC. Other weapons do, however, have the crouch mechanism where it makes the spray easier. However, AK does not have this as of yet. One thing to absolutely learn is strafe while shooting. This is something I, when playing the game, still have trouble with. Spray while shooting is very hard, and to kind of combat this, don't really aim in. Hip firing has never been easier on this game than it has been today. You now have hit markers and also a crosshair for you to hip fire from, so it's a lot easier. And if you're up close and strafing, that is probably your best bet, whereas if you're at distance, obviously strafe whilst aiming down your sight. Such attachments as laser sight can help, but I wouldn't really say they benefit you in any sort of way or make the spray easier. As well, learn your engagement range. The AK excels at mid-range. Try and avoid long-range sprays unless absolutely necessary. And the thing is with long range, it's never been harder than it has been today. And this is down to the graphics. The graphics, in my opinion, are a lot worse than they were about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And when the graphics changed within the Power Surge update, we got a new terrain update. And the terrain update was actually good. There wasn't as many shadows, the contrast wasn't high, it was actually alright. However, in recent times, the contrast and the shadows are very much more darker and deepened, and it's a lot harder to fire from range. As well, if you have sharpen on or off, it doesn't make it any easier for you to shoot from long range or see your targets at range. Really, they've just made it a lot harder for you to combat this with the lack of settings that they have supplied us. And I guess it's the Double 11's fault, and I hope it changes within 2025. Mastering the AK-47's recoil on Rust console takes dedication, but hopefully with these tips you'll be dominating Rust in no time. Remember, it's all about muscle memory and sort of practice. Again, go into those PvP practice servers, learn obviously the full 30 bullet mag, but really get down those first 15 bullets. They will save you in a lot of fights. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button, subscribe. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy the Rust console content I provide, and drop a comment with your favourite AK-47 tips, whether you are, I guess at this point, cheating on mouse and keyboard, or if you are a legit controller. Give your tips in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.